Hello everyone, my name's Mike and welcome to Tech Moon, where I talk about and review camera tech, gadgets and smart gizmos. So if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. But today I'm going to be talking about how to use Final Cut Pro if you're a beginner. Let's jump into it. So this video is going to be a very simple video for those of you who haven't ever used Final Cut Pro before and want to basically start creating either home videos or YouTube videos. I'm going to show you some really basic techniques to get you started, as well as give you some advanced features and techniques just to get your footage looking that little bit better compared to everyone else out there. So let's jump straight into the video. So first of all, we need to obviously have Final Cut Pro open. Now, what I always like to do is I always like to organize my clips when it comes to the video editing. So what I want to do is, first of all, I want to just create the video project. So I want to just start that and create the video. So let's maximize that and let's go into the clips. So what I like to do is I like to organize my music and my video. So within video, as you can see, I've got my drone footage, Lumix footage, as well as slow-mo footage. Now, some of this footage I've not actually taken myself. I've actually used some really interesting websites, which I'll show you just over here. So we're using Pixabay, some video from VEasy, I believe it's called, as well as Pixels. So 3 awesome sites to get you started with video editing. So you don't even need to have a camera to really practice some of the skills that I'm about to show you. So once we've downloaded or used some of the footage that we have taken, let's go into Final Cut. Now, this is the very basic layout of Final Cut. So as you can see, we've got the project as well as the events just here. We've got the video that we would have if we were playing it. We've got the inspector tab, which basically has things like sound and color. And then we've also got new projects just down here. So first of all, let's create a couple of events. So what I always like to have the events under is the footage that I've actually taken, just to organize it a little bit easier. So we've got drone, Lumix, and then slow-mo, for example. And then what I want to do is I want to import the media relevant to each of these events. Now we can do it one of 2 ways. We can either click the import button just over here or over here, or we can press Control and I, and that will go straight into the import section. So for the first one, we want to import our clips into drone. So we select the drone folder and select that one. We go into Lumix and again, Control I, and then go into the Lumix folder and select that one. And then we go into the slow-mo, import the footage for the slow-mo. Perfect. So we've got all our footage nicely organized just over here. If you've got a lot of footage, you can adjust it by either pressing this one here, which I do like because it kind of just gives me, you know, as long as you sort of label them a little bit better, like as you can see I can go into each one and I can see the clip there, or I can see the clip there, and it even tells me a date that I shot them and the thing. And then I've got a little thing just over here, like a thumbnail. And that will show me sort of a quick preview of each of the videos that I have got. So that's really nice. Or alternatively, we can just have the standard view, but I prefer this sort of view. At the bottom, we want to create a new project. So we've got the project name, which we'll just call video for now. And then we can have the event in, let's say, any one of these. So let's say just Lumix, for example. We could have the project in. And then we've got the video format. So this is the format that you want your video to be outputted in. So in this case, I want it to be outputted in 4K at 24 frames per second. Now, it's really important that you shoot your footage so that it's relevant to the output that you are trying to deliver your content in. So we'll press OK just here. And now let's start off with our hero clip, which will just be our talking head. So we've got our talking head just down here. Now, as you can see, we've got the thumbnail here and we've got the audio track just at the bottom. However, if we want to change what we see down here, see this little section just here, we can press this button, which looks like a sort of film reel, and we can change what we see down below. So the way that I like to have it is I like to have a slightly larger view of the audio track, as that is really what I'm trying to focus on when I'm trying to edit these videos very quickly. I want to see where I'm not talking and when I start talking, but obviously play around with it to how you want. Now we're going to use some key features when we cut and sort of splice all our footage together. So the main ones that we're going to use is A, which is select, and B, which is the blade tool. So what does that mean? So as you can see, I've got no talking just at the beginning here, and I've got a gap here where I'm not talking again. I've got a little bit of a gap here. This bit here is possibly where I made a mistake, just over here, and I want to cut it all. So what I do is I press the B button just on the keyboard, and I tap where I want it to be cut. Then I select the section that I want to get rid of and press delete. So if we repeat that a couple of times, so I'm just going to do it very quickly. Obviously you want to make sure that you're cutting it a little bit better than I am. If you need to zoom in to your footage, all that you do is just, as long as you've got a trackpad, is just pinch and zoom. And as you can see, it's increasing it. So now when I go into the blade tool, or by pressing B, or by selecting it within this option over here, I can then cut it just to where I stop and just to where I start talking. I then press the A button to go back into the arrow and delete the section that I need. Very, very simple. So once I've cut where I want, so for example, I'm just going to quickly cut the rest of that because let's say I don't need it. All right. Now I want to add some drone footage, let's say. So let's say I like this cityscape, for example, and I also want to add some slow-mo. So again, I just go into the slow-mo folder and I don't know, select this, hot air balloon. There you go. All right. So we got that and we got that, I don't know if that flows very well, but oh well. And now I want to make sure that there's a little transition in between that clip and that clip. So I go into the transitions tab. So I've got the transitions tab. And if I scroll down, as you can see, I've got some pre-selected, pre-installed transitions, but there will also be some built-in transitions from Final Cut Pro. And then we've also got our effects as well, so we can add some different types of effects to give it, a different look, let's say. And these are just very simple, color grades. So as you can see, if I put that color grade on top, it's given it that bleached look, as it sort of says, but I don't want to add that effect. So if I just press Control and Z, that will reverse anything that I've done. So again, Command and Z, sorry, and that will reverse anything that I've selected. So let's put a directional blur, just transition just in there. Let's create that transition, and there you go. We've now got a transition from when I'm talking. And there you go. It's now transitioned perfectly into that. But as you can see with this clip, we've got it in slow-mo at the moment. So if we just zoom in, but if we want to speed it up, what we do is we press Command and R, and then that brings up the speed on the clip itself. Now, if we want to, let's say, speed up the beginning of this clip, what we do is unlike before where we use the blade tool or the B button to select the blade tool, what we now do is we press Shift and B, and that's almost done a soft cut. Now what we can do is see these little sections here of the video clip, we can now speed them up a little bit, okay? And then where we have the slow section, we'll leave it as normal, okay? And then we press Shift and B again, and then we can speed up this section of the last bit, and as you can see, it's turned purple when we sped it up. Now let's say the footage hasn't been slowed down already. If we want to slow it down, we just extend it out, and can you see it's turned orange, and now it says like 57% or whatever. That's now slowed down that particular footage. So that's a quick way of slowing down your footage, is just by extending it until it looks orange. There you go. So now we've done the slow-mo footage just there. So if we press play, as you can see, it's slowed it down, okay, and then sped things up again. So that's as simple as that. And then we've got our drone footage, which looks fantastic just over there. Now, if we just zoom out a little bit, what we want to do is we also want to check our audio levels. So this is very important, as audio is 50% of your video, and you want to make sure that your audio levels are correct. You don't want someone to play your video on YouTube after watching someone else's YouTube where their levels are correct, and then they can either not hear you at all or can barely hear you compared to the last person, so crank up the volume, which isn't a good look. Or alternatively, you've put your levels too high and you're blowing out their eardrums. Either way, it's not a good scenario. So what we want to do is we want to see where our video lies, or our audio lies. So we click on this little tab, and that's brought up a magnification almost of our audio levels. So now, if I'm just going to mute the audio, but if we have a look at the audio levels, as you can see, they're sort of around where we really want them. If we want them a little bit higher, for example, so let's say it's not quite where we want them, I just select the clips where I want them to be raised. I go into the inspector section, which if you don't know how to access it, you either press Command 4 and that will either hide the inspector, or Command 4 and that will bring up the inspector. Now what we want to do is we want to increase the volume, and let's say we up it by 2 decibels, or let's say it's too quiet, we can minus it by, let's say, 2 decibels, for example. But in this case, we want to raise it, so we're just going to press 2. And we've also got some equalization options down here as well. So for example, if I want to add a bit more bass to my voice, I can add the bass boost to the audio, and now that's boosted the bass in my voice. So we can really play around, and we can add some noise removal, for example. So if there's sort of some humming or whatever in the background, we can, I normally like to have it at 2 to 4%, not any more than that, otherwise it messes up with the audio. That is a top tip. If you're going to use noise removal, try not to use more than sort of 5 to 6% maximum, otherwise it messes up your audio, and not in a nice way, for sure. So now that we've played around with our audio, all right, and we've added some noise reduction and so on and so forth, all right, so just make sure that we've got no red peaks just up here. So if you have a look, all right, we've got some yellow peaks, which means that it's coming up to red, but it's not quite peaked. But for example, if we raise our decibels, can you see now we got these little red bits just at the bottom? That means that our audio is now peaking, so it's too loud essentially. So let's bring that down, and there you go. Now our audio levels look quite nice. It looks like it is perfect. So let's hide this section. So to hide that, we just click on that, and that's got rid of the audio levels now. So with the clip as it is, we've now sorted out the audio, we've cut the clip how we want, we've added the slow-mo footage and B-roll, let's say, that we've wanted, but the colors don't look quite right. So now we want to color grade our footage. So let's just I'm just going to color grade me. I won't color grade the rest of them, otherwise this video will be too long. But for example, we want to color grade. Now let's try and maximize the amount of space that we've got at our real estate. So let's get rid of this section, okay? And now we've got just me. Now we can eyeball it by basically going into the colored triangle, and we can go into, let's say, color board or color wheels. Use whatever one you feel most comfortable with, but for beginners, color board is very, very simple, all right, because it just says color, saturation, and exposure. Now, when we look at the clip, we can't really tell that there's anything wrong with the clip because, well, we're just judging it by eye. And if you haven't got, let's say, a color accurate monitor, you're not really going to know if anything's wrong or what to even do with your footage. So the best thing to do is to get up your scopes. So to activate your scopes, you want to press Command 7. All right. Now Command 7 brings up these video scopes. Now we can change it to whatever we want, but the one that I like to use, which I think is excellent for beginners and experts alike, is click on Waveform and then click on RGB Parade. Now, if you get used to looking at this, this is really going to help you when you then get into more advanced color grading. All right. Now there are other scopes to use like vector scopes and histograms, but let's just look at let's look at waveforms for now. So first of all, as you can see, we're a little bit underexposed on the bottom. So what we want to do is we just want to bring that down a little bit. The highlights are pretty much to where we want it, but we want our midtones just to be brought up just a little bit. I know that I've shot this in a sort of log style format, so I want to add some saturation to the footage. So as you can see, it's just brought out some of the skin tones, as well as some of the colors in the background as well. So that's brilliant. We've now added some saturation, but what I now want to do is I want to add some color into the background. So as you can see, if we go into the color tab, we can adjust each individual section of the footage. So we've got the shadows, the midtones, and the highlights. And that includes everything from the shadows and the midtones and the highlights in exposure, saturation, and color. So if I just wanted to affect just the saturation on the shadows, I can mess about with that, for example. Okay, and I've just added some saturation to the shadows, which I don't want to do. So let's go into the color tab. Now, everything looks fine to me right here, but what I now want to do is I want to add a little bit more purple into the shadows, as this has got a purple feel to it. All right, so we're going to just add just a touch. We don't want to add too much, but we've now added a touch of purple. So if we want to see the changes that we've made, let's toggle that off and on. And to me, I think that looks a lot better than the original footage that it was shot on. The skin tones look more natural and the footage pops a little bit more. But the other footage hasn't been color graded. So what we can do is we can copy these attributes to our other clips. So if we select the clip where we made the color grade and we press Command C, then we click on the clip that we want the attributes to be pasted onto, and we press Command, Shift, and V. Okay, that will now post the copy or paste the video attributes that we want. So we just want the color board, as you can see, just over here. So we select that one and we paste it. And then we do the same again. So we select this clip. Okay, by clicking on the clip itself, we press Command, Shift, and V, and then press paste again, and there you go. We now have the color grade applied to each one of those clips, and if we wanted to, we could click on, let's say, the next clip. Let's say it was a slightly different clip. We can then go back and we can just adjust the exposure a little bit on that clip so it looks a little bit better, for example. So let's say we need to do some tweaking for each individual clip. All right, and again, we can do the same with any of the clips just over here. So we can click on that one and we can, decrease, looking at the video scopes, we can decrease the shadows a little bit. We can increase the midtones ever so slightly. We can go into the saturation and we can add some saturation into the midtones, for example. In terms of color, let's say it's looking a little bit too warm. We can add some cooler colors into it, and just looking at a quick difference, I think that looks a little bit more color accurate and pops a little bit more than before. So there you go. We've now done all the color grading for the clips. Now, just one thing you may have noticed, if we just zoom in a little bit, you may have noticed these little dots in the top of the footage. This is the background rendering. So with background rendering, if we just click on this little circle just on the top, can you see it says rendering? So this is now doing a background render so that when we come to play back our footage, let's say our computer is a little bit too slow, we can let it background render and it will render all the changes that we made to those clips in the background, so that then when we come to export, it actually exports much quicker as well. So that is something really, really useful with background rendering. So now that we've finished sort of our clip and everything like that, we want to obviously maybe add some music. So great, so let's add some music. So let's go into our music tab, all right, and select music. So we've got our, non-copyrighted music, obviously, and we want to just cut that to the end of the clip, let's say. One good thing I will just mention is something that I always do is cut the music, cut the video to the beat of the music. And it's very easy to do because, especially with something like this, you can see where it sort of starts, the beats and stuff like that. So you can cut the video. Let's say you're doing like a cinematic travel video. You can cut the video to the music of the beats. For example, We've got the music just over here, but if we played this clip right now, so I'm just going to turn up the volume, okay, and we played this clip right now by pressing the space bar, you can barely hear me. I mean, the music just overpowers my voice. So one thing I always like to do is just reduce the music output, and normally I like to have it around sort of between 25 to 30, and that normally for most clips, obviously most video, you want to obviously have your headphones in. That is the best thing to do. Edit with headphones, as you'll get the most realistic sound when, let's say, your viewers are listening with headphones. Speakers can be so vastly different and can really change what you're actually listening to. So now if I play that, well, did you know that the technology used in those... So now we've got background music. It's not overpowering my voice, but it's giving that nice little beat to the video. So now that we're happy with everything, we've done the editing, we've done the sound editing, we've done the color grading, we've done the speed ramping, we've done everything that we need. All that we now need to do is just export the file. So we go up here to File, and we can Share, and then Export File. Or alternatively, we can press Command and E, and that will now export. And then if we go into settings, just make sure you got video and audio. H.264 is absolutely fine for this type of video for YouTube. And we can even have it so that after it's exported the video, we can open up with QuickTime. We're only just going to save it now. We'll press Next. We'll save the video to where we want it. So let's just save it into the same folder. And there you go. We've now created our video. We've done our cuts. We've done our editing. We've edited the sound. We've done the color grading. We've added a transition or two. Very, very simple. But I will be doing more tutorials on color grading as well as audio, as well as my favorite plugins and free plugins, to be fair. So if you want to look out for those videos, then hit that subscribe button, because I will be doing a lot more videos like this, as well as obviously all my other videos that I normally do. So if this video has helped you out, please drop me a like. If you want to see obviously more content, then please hit that subscribe button. But until the next video, look after yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.